Hello, and welcome to the Tower of Thinning Layers mobile guide. Toddle is an insane located in Zone 1. You can just make your way over here, go sideways or 45 degrees across this thinning layer of platforms. Make your way to the tower. So jump up here on these two stickouts. Just be careful, you'll bonk into the wall, so just be ready for that. Fit your way inside this gap, make your way through, and then slowly turn out of it and jump forward facing onto that thin stud. Flick in at the end of that jump. Nice easy wraps. Stand a bit away from the wall on these two stickouts. Might take a bit of practice, and then you're going to want to jump, and at the apex of your jump, flick out so you get inside the lodge. You can do it a couple times in the practice place just to get a timing for it. Flick off this second layer and go on top. Jump late on all these jumps, take it tight. Most of these are just muscle memory, not a ton of strat-based gameplay. Just be careful. Take that last one tight, make sure to jump late. Stand a bit away from the wall on those jumps, and then just take some time to set up all of these. You can high jump to skip that, or just flick out and do the stick out like I showed. Just a 10 stud wrap. And then on here, you're going to want to stand far away from the wall. And then make sure you don't bonk into the front or back walls on there. Just some more pretty standard jumps. Flick in there, be careful not to bonk into the wall. Do the walk arounds like this. Might take a bit to get used to them, but they do get consistent. Jump back there and stay sideways to not bonk. Just jump late on these, make sure to flick in at the end. Go in first person for this section, flick in on this one. You can just walk across the second one onto the platform, and then flick in at the end of that one. Do that like a head hitter. Flick onto the ledge. Jump late there. Pretty simple jumps for this section. You can also do a high jump to skip all of this. And this slope jumps, just be careful. Yeah, you can see you can just high jump up like that. Then do these jumps like so, they're netted. Flick in at the end of there. Be super careful. Set these up. Mostly just muscle memory. Takes a bit to learn. Line it up and jump through that gap. Flick around on all of these like this. Do 180s on these, or you can also shift flick. There is a skip that skips this last part, but it's not super hard. You just flick onto here. Then I just do these jumps forward facing. You don't really need to turn. And then for the skip, you can skip over to there. Alright, so on this part, use the wall to flick out, inch away from the wall, and then climb down to about that height, jump off, and shift block. Again, climb down to about that height where your knees just go through the floor. Then shift flick up onto here. You can attempt it multiple times. Jump late on these and turn in earlier than you think. Do this head hitter. Alright, and on these ones, walk to line up like this. Flick in at the end. You can also aim to climb it. And on this, take it much tighter than you think. Just copy that motion. And you're going to repeat this a ton, practice this a ton. It's the hardest part of the tower on mobile for sure. And you're really just always going to want to be walking mostly into the wall on those. On this jump, line up, jump late. Be careful, take this one tight because the slope does increase in height as you get further along. Make sure to line up this lodge and then flick in like the one on floor 1. Then this can take a while, but just make your way across here. Make it through eventually. And then I would not recommend doing this part legit. It's just some slope jumps, but I'd say just long jump over to here. Make sure you're not too high, and then jump over to here. Then jump onto this side platform. Pretty basic wraps. Make sure to wrap inward so you land on the platform. You can kind of get bounced through the gap. Just jump late on all these. Line up like I do. You can do this skip, but it's pretty simple. Stick out. Just jump late on all these. Take it tight. Jtoh is very repetitive. There's not a lot to talk about. Be careful on that jump. It's a bit harder than the rest. And just jump onto the quarter studs like so. Just jump back and forth like this. Skip to this far stud. Wrap out. Make sure not to bonk your head. Take these cylinders tight. This jump is really hard. You got to make sure to wrap in tight and make sure you're walking into the cylinder at the end to land on the stud. Jump around to this side right here and then just flick up like that. You can repeat it multiple times. It helps you to save if you go on that side. Just go across these trusses, flick, and make sure you're jumping late to make all of these, but be super careful. You can also shift flick all of these. You can shift flick these ones like that, or you can just do it normally. Just shift flick up onto here to not bonk your head. Go on the left side of this so you don't bonk your head on the platform above, and make sure to flick in. And then I prefer doing it the right side, so do it on the last one. Jump a bit farther away from the wall and make sure to wrap into the truss. That, you really just need muscle memory. Jump late on all of these. You got to jump very late or you're not going to make it. Make sure to take it super tight. Flick in there, flick in there. Do this kind of 180 motion like so. Inch your way along this platform on shift lock and then walk off and jump. Just be careful on all of these, not super hard reps. Careful on that. Super careful on the quarter stud. Be prepared to save. Then jump, bonk your head, line up on the edge and walk off to climb up onto there. Set this up like a head hitter like I do. And then shift lock to land on the half stud. Be careful on these stick outs. Again, it's just muscle memory. You'll learn how to do it. I kind of jump on an angle into that quarter stud just to be a bit safer, but be prepared to save on the start of 8. I don't change my direction when on that jump just to make it easier. Set up this long jump forward facing. I like to flick onto it just to make sure I make it up. Don't jump fully sideways to these or you might not make it, but generally if you just jump forward facing it should work. Otherwise you might not get in a fight. Wrap out, do that like a head hitter, and now you are on to the final stretch. So inch your way along the wall at a slight angle like I do, and make sure you're holding your joystick mostly into the wall. Flick out a bit and then jump late, flick out, jump late. Wrap in tightly there. Do this long jump, flick in at the end. Set this up like a high jump like I do, and then re-shift lock to get a bit of extra height. Jump late on there and make sure to not bonk into the wall. Take this tighter than you think to make it up onto the platform. Go to the far side of this and either jump or shift flick onto it. Flick up onto there. Hold jump, but release it so you can climb onto there. Just jump and don't move your joystick and you'll land on the one stud. You can high jump up there to skip these last few jumps. Otherwise, just make sure to take it carefully, not bonk your head. Take this last jump tight. Go around to this side, and walking off makes it a bit easier to set up. Walk off, hit the stud, and congratulations, you have beaten the Tower of Thinning Layers. There's really not a ton to talk about. If you feel like the tower you're having a ton of trouble with it, I wouldn't recommend going for it. People recommend it as a first SC, but the gameplay it's all raw skill really, and the gameplay is kind of whack and inconsistent. I'd recommend going for another tower. There are other much better towers in the game. But anyways, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.